So, Pratik, about 2 years ago, Wipro was chasing talent. Now, given that your peers, a company which is 30 kilometers away from this campus, has not given a salary hike, do you think talent could be chasing you?
First of all, our hiring effort is not determined by what one company does or does not. So even earlier we were in hunt for talent, and we continue to be on the lookout for good talent even now. Although I have to admit that it does become a lot easier given the fact that there is a greater stability in the organization. We have gone out and articulated the areas of focus, specific domains and thrust areas where we will be deploying more resources, and then once the word goes out, it naturally becomes a draw for good talent to actually look at being part of the organization. To that extent, it has certainly helped.
Suresh, I'm sure it must be a nightmare to manage the currency volatility. We started the quarter at a different run rate, we're ending the quarter at a different run rate. God knows what will happen by the time we wrap out of Q1 FY13.
Absolutely, I think it is a complete nightmare. There is a complete uncertainty in the global market. What is happening in Europe every week is a different story, and that is a very high impact on the sentiment. B is the kind of reforms that India was promising has not been happening, as a result of which FDI flow is under constraint in terms of coming in. Plus, some of this legislation also is creating a lot of uncertainty in the marketplace. So all this, lot of this is a sentiment driven. And in that context, we have seen quarter 3, that is December quarter, where rupee went up from something like 47, 48 to 52, then it came back to 50, 50, and now it is back in the current quarter. In the last 2-3 weeks, has come down to something like 52 and half. So yes, it is clearly very, very volatile. But I think the kind of a strategy that we have adopted, which is something like a 2-quarter kind of a net inflow hedges, followed by a cash flow hedge accounting, has helped us all the time to be able to reduce the impact of the volatility on our price earnings. And while we may not have participated when the rupee depreciates, we also get less hurt when rupee appreciates. So on a combined basis over a 3 to 5 year, it holds us in good stead.
So how are you hedged?
Currently the hedge book that we carry is about $1.9 billion.
Do you plan to increase that hedge?
Well, at this point in time, objective is to stay range bound around the same based on the kind of certainty or uncertainty we're seeing in the marketplace, and we think staying consistent with your strategy always helps.
TK, a quarter ago when I interacted with you, you had indicated that Wipro is now consciously working towards new verticals, niche areas, differentiated pricing. How much of your proposed FY13 revenue will come from new offerings?
So we don't break the number out, but here's what it is. If you look at just the 3 areas that we talked about last time, which is basically driven by what we call the mega trends, which is around analytics, which is around cloud and mobility, these 3 coming together to really drive variabilization and what we call consumerization. Last quarter, we have done 40 cloud assignments, out of which just the last quarter alone.
Is that a sizable number?
It's a very sizable number. I mean, and we just believe that that's going to be an area where we are going to significantly invest in. Similarly, analytics business. Our analytics business has grown in excess of 30% last year. So it's today, if you look at our analytics business, it's among the top 3 businesses in the world on a global basis. So we just believe that the areas that we picked, we really have to drive differentiation and we have to drive depth in that. And it's no use being an also-ran saying I'll have multiple portfolios and I'll grow the average of markets. In some areas, you have to be breakouts. And that's really our endeavor. So if you look at our oil and gas business, last year we did an acquisition, which is SAIC. Now we've gone out there, and if you look at our growth last year, it's been pretty significant. Similarly, we picked a new area this year, which is natural resources. We have invested significantly in that with real high-quality talent in natural resources. We have today in that area some of the best people in the world working for us. So our focus is really go after segments and really do deep investments and make sure you really break out the market rather than remain with the market. That's really the endeavor.
So what is happening in basic verticals, telecom, BFSI, that's where competition is, that's where market share grab fight also is there?
Yeah, of course. And I'm sure you would be hearing from competition about us too in those segments. But if I look at the BFSI segment as an example, retail banking continues to be stable, even though we believe that in the retail banking segment, there is going to be significant technology adoption happening on the front end, especially with Google and everybody else going after that particular market in a very different way. We see that market being stressed from a perspective of technology. And we believe that we are very well positioned to kind of serve that market. On the other hand, from an investment banking perspective, volumes are clearly up, but the trade ticket sizes of the trade are coming down. To that extent, they're going to be stressed in terms of cost. We have a fairly big investment in that segment, and we continue to play in that, but clearly from that particular area, both ticket prices as well as the kind of deal flow is stressed. But again, our belief is that we have to remain invested in certain areas because they will come out of it in a certain period of time. So that's broadly how we see the banking sector kind of playing out. If you look at the healthcare sector, we see pharma continuing to be very, very strong. Again, we have invested significantly in that area. And again, that's one area we clearly kind of break out over the next couple of quarters.
So, Rish, what is the problem with the domestic IT business?
There isn't a problem. Actually, so far as Q4 is concerned, it has done very well. But it is the point which is saying that, particularly, let's say, government, telecom, what the overall environment is. So there are a lot of, the funnel is good. But somehow the decision making in that particular funnel, the process, the speed at which we are seeing it converting into orders and execution is sort of held back, particularly the big ones. So from that point of view, we are seeing a much weaker quarter so far as Q1 is concerned. But as we go forward, we think the decisions will happen and spends would start, and therefore we will participate because we are very advantageously placed to be able to address that market, whether it is the financial services, infrastructure space, PSUs, Government of India, and or the telecom space. So our expectation is as we get into Q2 onwards, will come back.
By FY15, how much of Wipro's total IT revenue will come from new differentiated offering?
So we have an internal goal for that.
Which is? This is not in guidance. I'm sure you can share a number here.
So here is what we have believed that if you looked at the business that we are in today, the differentiated services that we have, which really make an impact in front of the customer, should be about half our portfolio.
That's a tall order, isn't it?
It's a very tall order.
In terms of employee satisfaction, Prateek, how will you differentiate Wipro from others for FY13?
For FY13?
Fiscal 13.
So let me not actually get distracted by comparing it to others. I think we have a task cut out. We know the areas we need to actually focus on. And despite whatever we shared in terms of the gains of the last few quarters, which is reflecting in attrition being down and many of the other initiatives we have launched, there is still some fair amount of work to be done. Right? I think big area of focus for us is as the space continues to evolve, we are getting into new areas. TK talked about new domains where we are focused on, new solutions which we have to build. It would require completely different set of competencies which need to actually get built into the talent we are bringing in. And that will remain to be a big area of focus and drive for us. We will encourage people to get themselves refreshed. We will invest in their training. We will invest in their competency building. And that's where the entire organization, delivery organization, as well as from the technical training point of view, is geared towards. And we just need to ensure that the platform which we have been able to create, we build from there and continue to invest on the people side as we have been doing over the last 1 year.
In terms of visa, are visa problems sorted out? Do you have enough visas for FY13?
So we have a fair inventory on visas. We did not, as an organization, Wipro, we did not experience what we heard a lot of other organizations did in terms of the rejections. However, for sure, there have been more requests for information, evidences as people have gone about applying for visas. But our focus always has been to make sure that our processes are robust, we are completely compliant, and we continue to ensure that there is no slip in terms of the processes which we have been able to build and invested in over a period of time as far as visa compliance is concerned.
Ahead of US presidential elections, are you a worried man given the way how things are moving?
TK is a wise man on this. He can give you some.
So Nikan, here's what it is. On the visa side, I think it's important to realize that as far as Wipro was concerned, we were very selective in our L1 visas, extremely selective.
What is the number you have?
So it is low single digits.
Okay,
it's hardly anything. We really went in with an H1B strategy because we believe that that's what we should be doing. And we also kind of stepped up our local hiring significantly over the past couple of years. Of course, we've been beaten to death on that one because obviously what's happened is our average cost has gone up. But we thought at a certain point of time that it's the right investment to make, and it is important for us to kind of invest in a country rather than take away from a country. And that's been the strategy. That's not going to change very significantly. This year, we are going to apply for more H-1Bs. And we are also going to make sure that our inventory of H-1Bs remains kind of static. Because fundamentally for us, it's important to keep a certain pool to manage transitory demand. Because you can't hire people on site and keep them forever if you're going to have transitory demand.
Suresh, FY11 was a year of restructuring for Wipro. FY12 was about getting the house into order. And FY13, do you think would be a year of growth?
Consolidation and growth.
Performance, that's a better way of describing it.
3 things which will differentiate Wipro in FY13 from others.
Customer satisfaction. Absolutely, we want to be on the top on that one. Because we believe that if you invest in customers in the long term, that helps you. And short-term distractions will not kind of bother us from investing in front of the customer. That's clearly a priority. Number 2 is our industry has been built by disruption. We have to figure out what the next disruptive model is, be it in technology or be it in domain, and build and invest in that area. Because that's what will kind of keep us differentiated in front of the customer. And the third for us, which I think is extremely important, is employees. We have to make sure that our employees remain charged and our employees remain focused on the task on hand. We cannot afford any kind of defocus as far as employees are concerned.
Prateek, is there anything which is giving you sleepless nights?
I think we just have to continue with the work which we have initiated. And it doesn't get easy as we evolve, but I think our efforts have shown results and we just need to maintain and stay with it.
Suresh, anything which is giving you sleepless nights?
No, I think definitely the overall environment has ups and downs in happening. Making sure that you put in the right investment at the right time, pursue with it, and making sure that you select the right items which you have to stop investing in, etc., etc. So from that point of view, just-in-time investment becomes very critical.
I know what is giving you sleepless nights.
Tell me.
IPL matches?
There are 2 parts to it, which all my direct reports keep telling me. One is they ask me whether I sleep. I sleep very well. They don't.
Gentlemen, great to have you back on the show, and thank you for joining us. TK, Suresh, Prateek, pleasure to have you back on ET Now. That's it on this special edition of Earnings Call. I'm Nikunj Dalmia signing off. Thank you for watching the show.